Hey y'all, what's happening? I'm not gonna do an introduction for this because this is like a part two to the other video that I did when it came to um, queen and being called a queen. So this is for the guys with the word king and getting into the etymology of that. As I've stated before, if you don't know, I'm very high on etymology, understanding the beginning of words and where they come from, because I just like to know certain things. So this is with the word king. The word king has a very fascinating etymology. I wanted to know if it had any. I'll get into that. I'll get into that. I just wanted to know, its backstory. Okay, so it directly connects to the word family and tribal leadership. The Proto Indo European origins stem from pi root or um, gen, meaning to give birth or to begat. And y'all know the begats. If you were familiar with that whole, what is it? I don't know if it's Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Numbers. Is it Numbers? The whole book of begats. This one begat this one begat this one. This is the same root that gives us the word generate, genesis, genetic, or and also kin. The Germanic development, Proto-Germanic, Kuninges, tribal leader, Old English, kinging, pronounced roughly kuning. The word literally meant son of the kin, or one of the noble or one of the family. So the root components, the Old English kinning breaks down as kin, cynn, or kin, kin, family or tribe, and then ing. The suffix meaning son of or descendant of. Kinning or kinling, or one who belongs to or leads the kin group. Related words, the Anglo-Saxon word for the family tribe was kin, cynn, and the male leader of the kin was the kinning, which evolved into our modern word king. So the same root, gen, J-E-N-H, produced the English word for kin, K-I-N, kind, kindred, generate, genesis. And then Latin we have genus, generate, genitor. Greek we have genos, which is race or kind. And in Sanskrit we have jana, or people or race. Evolution to modern English, we have Old English, kinning, Middle English, we have king, Modern English, we have king. Conceptual development, we have the progression of meaning was, the family member or descendant, noble family member, leader of the family or tribe, ruler of the people slash kingdom. So unlike the word queen, um, with its own, dual etymology, king has its own remarkable, consistent lineage. Um, it's always connected to leadership with kinship. The idea that rulers were literally the leading members of the family, a tribal group. This reflects ancient Germanic society where leadership was often hereditary and based on belonging to the right bloodline. Um, the word embodies the ancient concept that political authority flows from family relations and tribal membership. The king was essentially the head of the family writ large. So I wanted to know if it had any type of derogatory connections to any form of words like the word queen does. And it actually does not. It's got a very clean etymological history with no derogatory connections, no negative branches. Um, the word has maintained a consistent noble meaning throughout its history. Um, as far as I've been able to see, um, the difference here, though, because I wanted to get into the whole word of king and emperor, the difference with the two. A king goes into the role of a male leadership, has no competing terms. Its status is pretty protected. The title of the king was jealously guarded. You couldn't just call any man a king, okay? Whereas woman was a general term that could be applied to any female. Thus, queen, hussy, prostitute. What was the other word? It was a couple other words that were in there for it. Anyway, the word comes from what am I looking for? Give me a second. Because this was my thing. And I did go into, when I talked about a queen, the etymology of the word emperor. Emperor comes from the Latin imperator, imperator, which originally meant commander or one who gives orders. And the word derives from the verb imperare, Imperare, meaning to command. Hopefully nobody comes down here while I'm doing this. Anyway, the title became permanent as far as the word. Let me see. Okay, so this is what I wanted to get to. With the word emperor, it meant commander-in-chief and was bestowed on military leaders after successful campaigns. So if anybody has ever seen some kind of a movie with, armies and stuff like that, say like back in the day, like, and I hate to use this as a reference, but one of my favorite cartoons, Mulan, the one guy, his father was an emperor. And he was basically, saying he was going to be passing that title on to his son, and this is, again, he got that title after fighting battles that were very successful. So in his own right, he was an emperor, okay? Because it was looked at as being a commander in the chief. So let me see. We have king and emperor. The conceptual origins is king is based on family leadership or a leader of a group, a kin group. Its scope of authority when it comes to kings, they ruled either a single people or a kingdom. Emperor also commands multiple kingdoms, peoples, and empires. Its source of power, you have king, it's hereditary, and its legitimacy. For an emperor, it goes into military conquest and command authority. And its hierarchical relationship, historically, emperors outranked kings. So an emperor, just like an empress, could have multiple kings or queens as vessels within their empire to rule underneath of them. Kings remain more localized opposed to an emperor. Whereas the emperor rules an empire, okay? Like you have the Holy Roman Emperor, you have the Emperor of Japan, and then you have kings. So you have the King of Sweden, the King of England, different than the emperor. But in any case, I just kind of find it fascinating that there's more baggage that comes with the word queen, and more of a derogatory term that comes with the word queen than there does for a king, which also kind of shows the difference in the way that women have been placed in society in terms of their what's the word that I'm looking for? Not really their place, but just a kind of status that they have. We always seem to be more of a low status. Because still, even a queen or empress has to fall under the command of a king. Or, I'm sorry, not a king, an emperor. An empress has to fall under the status of an emperor, not a king. A king can fall under the status of an empress. But there's always been this thing where females have always had to be looked down upon, or have always been looked down upon when it comes to their ranking in history, and always seem to be more of a lower stature or status than males. So there's no derogatory term when it comes to men. And then, of course, you know that they always looked at the bloodline being carried over with men, which is why it was always so important for men to have a boy to carry that name, the family name. So anyway, I guess it's cool for guys to be called a king or emperor, but if you want to be at your highest level of status, it would feel better being called an emperor than a king. But for a female, we don't want to call our females queens anymore. We want to call them empresses. So that is all. I hope you guys enjoyed this second half. And I'd enjoy whatever feedback that you have on it. Until the next time, y'all, be well.